Hi, my name is Lakshmana. I work with the Oracle Projects Product Management team, and I have Mrs. Seema Singh, who also work with the Oracle Projects Development team. Today we present on how to overcome the challenges on plan, execute and control labor-intensive projects with Oracle e-business suite. Let us go through. Now we come on program agenda. We start with the overall view on labor intensive projects, what labor intensive projects are, and then the standard business processes and the best practices in labor intensive projects, and how we plan, execute, monitor and control, and the challenges that occur during the life cycle of the project, and the solution that we offer through EBS projects suite. And of course, at finally, we also give a little overview on the roadmap that we have on the coming financial years. So we start with labor intensive projects overview. We all know that the labor intensive projects are where the most of our expenditure goes into people's effort rather than the capital equipment or their maintenance or the material component of the project. But there are other ways to look at the labor intensive projects where the skill set of the people makes the difference at the margin, and the overall deliverables of the project is also called as a labor intensive projects, because the people who makes the difference on the margins and the deliverables of the project. So they are labor intensive projects, though the most of the cost component doesn't goes into people, since they make the difference on the margins. We call them as labor intensive projects. And we also have the third category, like where the rare combination of skill set, managing the rare combination of skill set. There are certain skill sets that has to work in a combination. They are also called labor intensive project, because the managing the resources is a challenge here. So you need most of the advanced tools and techniques over here to manage such a rare combination of skill set for the project, and they are also called as labor intensive projects. Let us see some industries which falls under these labor intensive projects in all three different categories. We talk about E&C, mining and utilities, where the people makes the difference on margins and the project deliverables, like most of the technicians, operators, superintendents, engineers, and foreman who makes the difference in the margin and the deliverables of the project. This falls under category 2. And in category 1, we have IT in projects and professional services and agricultural, where most of the expenditure goes into people component. Life sciences, research and development, aerospace, defense, where you need to manage the skill set combination, and you may need most of your skills and the tools to manage such a combination of skills. It's like a fleet combination. It's like a fleet approach. You can't go with one skill set and do the deliverable. You need to have a combination of all other skills which are very rare, and this managing these people resource will make the difference in your margins and deliverables. And we also have healthcare, high technology and logistics, where comes under again the category 2, where the most of the expenditure goes into people bills. And we go through a few success factors in labor intensive projects. So one is plan, where you have to plan the work plan and make the revenue budget and the cost budget. This plan you have to make as a framework to leave the trial to monitor later. You have to make those benchmarks and on the terms of cost and schedule, where it leaves the trial for monitoring the project going forward. And measurable goals, when you try to plan, you have to have the measurable, you have to determine the measurable goals from which you can measure your project the key is to identify what the measurable goals are at the end of the project or deliverables, and how do you monitor those measurable goals, and how, if there are some deviations occurs, how do you control those measurable goals going out of your benchmarks. And the third success criteria here managing your labor intensive projects is managing the resources, the key resources. So right starting from your requirement, what resources you require for this project, and mobilizing them in time, and having their resources to be performed is what contributes to your success factor. And the fourth and final success factor here is the visibility of information. When you have a labor intensive project, it is very important to have the visibility of your project information to all the stakeholders who are contributing to the project. The information access and collaboration, and visibility into the actions. So they need to have the information access, and they also need to collaborate to each other, and then probably with the information that is available, the project management team or the stakeholder should be able to take the actions against any task or whatever they coming on their way. And then we'll have a small overview on plan, execute, monitor and control, a business process overview. We don't go into much depth, we just have a glimpses on it. Like any project life cycle starts with plan, and you need to plan your resources, and you need to plan your time, which is called a schedule, we all know that, and then the cost, which turns out into your cost budget and the revenue budget and the cash flow statements. And then after planning, we come into operations and like execution. In the operations, we have the resource deployment, and we have the challenge of recording the actuals of all our resources, whatever people, the time cards, and time and labor, and the material consumption and the equipment consumption, whatever consumptions we have actuals on the project, we need to record them. And the third one is the progress. Once you record the actuals, you have to watch on how these consumptions are converting into a progress. And then the third phase of the project life cycle is monitoring. So once we have this plan in place and actuals are recorded, you need to keep monitoring your actuals against the plan. So we need to compile all the data, and we need to see what are the measures and metrics, and analyze where we are performing and how we are performing. And the fourth phase of the cycle is control. And once you monitor, you may identify some deviations there, and then based on the deviations, you need to control or take some corrective measures to control the project. If at all, sometimes if you have a plan and if you have the actuals deviating from the plan, you need to correct your actions on the project to get it back onto the plan. There are sometimes, based on the actuals, you may need to correct your plans based on your experiences and the current burn rate. You sometimes need to correct your plan. So there is a control is most key here to have the project succeeded. And once you take a corrective measure, you may need to replan and then manage the next version of your plan well, and then the cycle continues. And it is a little more detailed view of the project management life cycle, where we start with planning, then mobilization, execution, operations, and then billing, which we haven't covered there in the earlier cycle, and then monitoring, control, and how we close the project and how we close it with all reconciliations and having compared with your plan versus actuals, all those things. This is a detailed project management life cycle. And now, once we understand what is the overview and what is the typical business process on this plan, execute, monitor and control, we'll go through some challenges that are hurdling your operations or your project execution. What challenges? What are the type of challenges that you typically come across while managing a project? The three most common primary objectives of a project management is the lower cost, highest quality and shortest time. Most of the times what happens is when you target for the time, you may need to compromise on the cost, and when you target on the cost, you may need to compromise on the time. So, to gain one, you may need to lose the other. So, how do you want to balance this? Most of the times the gain in one of these objects, that's what we discussed, and how do you manage this balancing of cost and time, without compromising the other thing. During this process, you will end up with some questions like, what impacts do labor intensive projects have on time and cost? What are those impacts on time and cost? So, during the execution phase, what exactly that influences your time and cost? Is there an effective monitoring and control system that can be implemented in the project? How do you optimize that during the course of monitoring and control? How do you optimize that? And the third question that arises is how do any project, whatever the way you plan, whatever most competitive resources you have on the project, whatever the framework you have to monitor and control the project, you keep having those challenges. So, the third question is how can these disadvantages, these challenges can be limited while balancing time, cost and efficiencies, the productivity of your resources. These three are the key major questions that we are trying to address today. So, we categorized these challenges into 4 segments. One is in planning segment, the other one is operations segment, the third was in monitoring segment, and the fourth one is in invoicing segment. So, in planning segment, we have work plan and budgets from single source to discuss today, and in skills, how do we identify mapping and how do we identify the gaps and mapping the resources from the requirement to the skill set that is available in the pool, and how do you mobilize, how do you make them available at the exact time of the task start date or whatever the time that is required, the required by date, how to match that required by date. Those are the one we are trying to address today. And then when it comes to operations, we have timesheets and payroll integration, we have cost centers, how to address those cost centers, we have progress and production, and we will also talk about how we are modeling this solution to overcome the information access challenges. And then the third segment is perform monitoring, where we have the performance measures and value metrics, reports and control actions. And finally, we also have some solution on invoicing, how we are trying to solve the accuracy problems of an invoice and completeness, how do we take care of the completeness of an invoice, and how we maintain the timeliness of an invoice, how do we keep it fit into the billing life cycle, each invoice that goes through, and finally the reconciliations, how your invoice reconciles with your expenditures and where you are. And we will now come to the solution part. We will discuss on solution, what we are trying to offer in the solution for the challenges that we discussed so far. So, the challenges, the first segment we discussed is in planning. So, let us see what is the solution. We have solution overview in planning here. So, the enhancement that we did in the recent times in the planning cycle is resource summarization, where the resource summary against organization and summarization across resource classes. And assigning and mapping resources, we also have resource based on required skill set and how to map the properties of the resource to the skill set that is required to the project. And the third one what we addressed is the visibility across functions, how your requirements are visible across the other functions like procurement and asset management, whatever teams you have, HR. So, how your requirements flow to the other modules, other divisions of your organization, so that they can get ready with your project plan. And the third one we addressed here is replanning. So, we have well maintained versions of the plan, work plan, and approval hierarchy, the approval mechanism to maintain the changes in all versions and get the proper EVM measures against those versions of the plans. And here now we come to the second one, operations, where we talk about timesheets and payroll integration, cost center, progress and production, information access. The operations, timesheet and payroll integration. Now I hand over this to Seema Singh to take this forward, explaining you the solution on timesheets and payroll integration.
So, under operations, we are going to talk about timesheets and payroll integration and another aspect about information access today. So, first I am going to talk about timesheets and payroll integration. So, let us see what are the key challenges in timesheet and payroll integration. So, the key challenges that we have identified is, out of that, the first one is ability to account for project labor cost from actual payroll cost in order to ensure that the most accurate project costs are reported. The second challenge is around the ability to estimate the project labor cost using time cards and payroll rates between the payroll periods, rather than waiting for the payroll to come by month end or whatever is the periodicity of the payroll. You can estimate the project labor cost prior to that itself in order to provide accurate cost estimates for planning, reporting and billing. And then the third key challenge is around the understanding to have the total time accounting, not just for the total hours worked, but also for the total hours paid, in order to provide accurate costing and reporting. So, these are the key challenges in timesheet and payroll integration, and we are going to see now that how these challenges are addressed in the solution that we have provided in enhanced labor costing enhancement that has gotten shipped in release 12.2. So, labor costing rule, this is existing rule that was set up, that was there prior to this enhancement also, but we have enhanced it in order to incorporate the payroll integration aspect. So, we can see here that we have introduced a costing method as actual costing, which is basically, if you want to integrate with payroll, you can select a costing method as actual. You can also see, like, if you want to enable accruals, if you want to have accruals, or if you do not want to have accruals, you can choose the enable accrual option. If you do not want to integrate with payroll and you still want to go ahead with the existing standard costing method, then we also have a support for that, and you can choose the costing method as standard costing. Now, coming to one more important attribute that we have introduced over here is about rate source. So, prior to this enhancement, we had support for the rates defined in projects and for client extension. So, now we have provided the support for HR rates. So, let me just give you a quick glance of what exactly is, when we say rate source as HR, what exactly is this particular rate source. So, this is a screenshot of rate by criteria. So, this particular functionality is already available in HR, and what we have done is we have integrated this with projects. So, here you can define basically a lot of combinations, a lot of attributes you can define over here, and in those possible combinations you can set up the rates. So, let us say suppose you have an employee and that is working in a particular, he has a particular job, let us say he is an analyst and he is working in a particular location, let us say Adelaide or Boston, and you want to accordingly define the rates as per that. So, RBC provides you the mechanism via which you can provide the rates based on the job and also based on the location. Similarly, we have also provided lot more attributes over here, like suppose you want to define the rates based on project, task, work type, job, location. You can define the rates in rate by criteria with all the various possible combinations. So, this gives you lot of flexibility, and it also makes us compatible with the Davis-Bacon Act and also a support for prevailing wages. So, this is one RBC key enhancement that we have done. Okay, so even if you are not using payroll integration, if you have payroll integration or not, the rate source can still be chosen as HR. Then as I have mentioned about total time costing, we have a support for total. If you want to enable that, you can come and enable the total time costing in this particular rule. And once these rules are set up, so that defines how exactly I am going to do the costing in projects. Then you can further go and you can associate these rules at an employee level, or you can also associate at an organization or OU level. So, if we see over here, once let us say here I am trying to associate the rule with my employee. So, I can define, if I have chosen the rate source as RBC, I can go ahead and I can define the HR rate by criteria matrix name over here, and that in that way I can use the rate by criteria matrix. So, either the rule can be associated at the employee, or we can see that the rate rule is also associated at an organization or OU level. Once the rule is defined and it is set up at an employee or organization level, so in enhanced labor costing, we have also defined lot of new layouts, new time card layouts for payroll integration. So, we have these new attributes of work type, job, location available in these templates, and the time cards can be incurred with these new attributes, and then further it can get interfaced to projects. So, apart from providing a support for enhanced templates, we have also made these attributes available in our transaction import. So, if you want to import the time cards from third party or wherever with these additional attributes, it will get imported into projects. Similarly, there is a support for these attributes even in our pre-approved expenditure entry as well. So, once my rule is defined, I have associated the rule in my employee or organization or OU level, and I have incurred my transactions. After that, I can go ahead and run the distribution process. So, based on how I have set up my rule, if it is standard costing, you can just go ahead and run the distribute labor cost. If you are using actual costing and you have also enabled accruals, you can go ahead and run the generate labor accrual process. So, this will basically cost your transactions and mark it as accruals. So, the next step is that now I have all the transactions incurred and I have costed them. Now, I want to bring in my payroll. So, what do I need to do for that? I need to go ahead and first do a setup over here, which is how I want the payroll to get distributed in projects. So, that is the key. This is a very important form over here. You can go ahead and define your pay elements in payroll, Oracle payroll, or you can also define your pay elements in third party payroll as well. So, either way, in either of the ways, in this form you have to come and do the setup that how I want the payroll cost to get distributed on my transactions. So, here I have, let us say you have done certain setup, okay, for my let us say there is a pay element and I want to get it distributed only over ST hours or OT hours. You have those type of control over here. If I want that payroll cost to come over here and I want to create a overhead burden transaction out of that, I do not want it to be distributed over transactions over my time cards, I can very well go and define my payroll rules accordingly in this. So, this gives a lot of control and you can go ahead and use it to define your payroll cost. So, as I have mentioned, in our payroll integration enhancement, we have a support for Oracle payroll as well as third party payroll. So, this is where you can go ahead and it is an extensible lookup and you can go ahead and define your pay elements over here. This is a third party payroll, you can define a third party payroll over here. Okay. So, let us say I have done the setup. Now, I go in Oracle payroll or third party payroll and I want to bring the payroll cost into projects. So, there is a new process that we have introduced, which is PRC process payroll actuals. You can run that process and that will bring the payroll cost from the payroll and it will allocate on the transactions in projects as per the rule that you have defined in pay element distribution. So, this is a reconciliation report that you see over here, wherein it says that how exactly the amounts have got allocated. and if there is any exception, we have another exception report that user can run, and he can separately see what all exceptions are there. Okay. So, now as I have mentioned in while explaining the rule, that you have an option of actual, enable accrual, yes or no. So, let us say somebody chooses a method of enable accrual yes. So, what exactly it means? It means that so when the transactions come over to projects, they are distributed and marked as accruals, and when the actual payroll comes in, as per the periodicity defined for the payroll, let us say it is month end and my actual payroll comes in. So, the accruals will get reversed, and the actual payroll cost is going to get allocated over the transactions. Now, if I want to bill the accruals or not, so that control is what you can do it in this project billing setup page. You have an option for how you want to bill the accruals, if you want to bill the accruals or not, if you want to the adjustments to be included on standard invoice, how you want the adjustments to be included on standard invoice in the form of labor accruals or only labor. You can very well do the setups at the project setup, project billing options at the project level as well as the task level. So, that gives you a good control on how you want to bill the accruals. So, this is at the task level, as I have mentioned. So, overall this is how you can go ahead and define your how you can basically bring your payroll cost from projects, from Oracle payroll to projects. So, with this I will hand it over to Lakshmana, so that he can take over the information access aspect of operations.
Thank you, Seema. Now, we will go through the information access perspective of the operations, how we overcome the challenge of information access through the projects. There are two types of challenges. One is having the same information to all the stakeholders across the organization and across the project and across the teams, having the same measures and information available. And the other challenge is availability of information all the time, even if you are out of office, if you are traveling, and if you are not having the access to your desktop. How do you access, how do you still stay connected with the project with all the information that is available? So, that is one challenge. The first challenge that we have taken is a PMCC command center view, the project monitoring and control command center view. This we will discuss in detail in the further slides, but in this concept, what we addressed is having the same type of information across the projects, across the team members, across the organization. What are the goals? What is the plan? What is the performance measures? What are the EVM metrics? So, those challenges are addressed here. Now, we will see how we address the second challenge of having the information access all the time. There are situations where project managers and key team members are on move. They are away from their formal office and the desktop or laptop, whatever they have. They used to access the information. And the other way of they get disconnected is when the resources are geographically isolated. Some resources working at some point and the other resources are working at some point. And when there is a limited infrastructure network where you do not have the ability to access the network, your connected mode, then how do you still access the information? And the third one is like when you do not have a formal office, no organized office, we may need to work at field or at the site. You still need to get connected. In this type of scenarios, you are required to complete the transactions and actions from your end and finish the project still in time and in the approved budget of your cost. So, we come up with a mobile application, set of mobile applications that addresses these challenges, information access challenges. Enabling the project manager and his key team members to stay up with the connectivity even they are out from their formal office. So, the first category of these mobile applications addresses the visibility of the project. That means you have all the information in the mobile app, so that whenever you go, wherever you go, wherever you are, you still have the information of your project, what is going on there, how your measures and metrics are performing. And the second category of the mobile apps is like addressing the project execution part, which typically talks about the transactions that you need to do. You may need to log an issue, you may need to still do some actions, like record some progress or raising a change order with your customer, or whatever the field condition. If you are in field and you noticed something unique there, you may need to raise a change request or change order with your team members or with your customers and clients. And the third one is the project control part of the mobile apps, where you can take some actions in the project, like approving something, or whatever you commenting something or taking some action against it. So that's the third part of the mobile apps we come through. Now let us go through one mobile application that we released very recently, which is called as Oracle Mobile Project Manager, which fits for Oracle e-business suite. This is glimpses on the application where the application is called as Project Manager for EBS suite. When you log into this application, and the first view may be like the list of projects will be displayed, where you are part of the projects. You may be a key member of the projects, or you are the part of the, if you are an active resource of that project, all those projects will be listed out. And once you click on a particular project which you want to look at it, you will have a mini dashboard view where you can see how your ACWP is behaving against BCWP, what is your planned revenue versus your actual revenue, what is your open receivables during that period, and if there are any receivables that are past due that are displayed over here, and what is your open payables that are past due also showed up here. And you can also see your issues that are active during that period, and the change orders that are active in that project. So the third part of this slide explains you a little overview summary page of the project, which explains you on the project number, description, and other details. And then there is one more tab here bottom-neath it called as team. When you click on the team, all your key team members of the project are listed out here, while the three icons of texting, voicing, and mailing them will enable them to either you can give a voice to them, or you can call them to the phone number that is listed out there in the EBS, or you can text them, or you can mail them immediately. So instantly you will have an access or collaborative type of thing to your team members. And then we also have the customer details on the third tab, which gives you the shipping and billing address details here. We have some invoices details, as I explained you in the dashboard slide. We have some invoices here, open payments and open receivables, whereas you have the list of customers that have open invoices pending with you, and if there is any invoice that is past due, you can look at those details. This is applicable for receivables and as well as the payables for your vendors and suppliers. And we have an issues page where you can see all the active issues in the project, wherein you can see the key information of the issues and the actions against the individual issue. You can also have a pop-up of the description where you can see the detailed summary of the issue. And the Springboard takes you back to the list of applications that you may be part of, or where you have a role and responsibility on the similar applications like this. So and that will also enable you to settings of this app, and You can sign out from here. This is a typical Springboard, and from for till that we close up with the mobile and we come to the monitoring phase of the project, where we address the performance measure, end value metrics and reports, control actions. From project monitoring and control perspective, let us see what solution we have here. So, the main objectives of the monitoring is, to identify the deviations that are happening, mainly to address where I am compared with where I am supposed to be, what lies ahead that can affect me, and where am I going to end up compared with what I planned. So, the key objective here is, to measure against your benchmarks which are established during the planning phase, and the performance indicators tells you about, how you are performing against your plan or benchmarks, whatever you call them. And through this, once you measure this, you may need to foresee the risks well in advance, majorly in the areas of cost overruns, time overruns and the opportunities lost. And then need to see the control is in place. When you understand, when you learn about the deviations and the differences that are happening in the execution cycle, when you are monitoring the project, you come up with those key performance indicators or key measures of the project. So, the challenge is to how to align them back to your plan. When there is a deviation occurred in the project, how to align it back to your plan. So, let us see the challenges that occurs during this monitoring and control phase while deriving at the objectives of this phase, that we discussed earlier. So, we should be able to monitor all relevant EVM measures through a single view from the context of a project or a task. This is the major challenge that we occur. We do not have all the measures and metrics at one place, we may have them in different places at different areas, different measures. We do not have a combined view where we have a single view of all the EVM measures of the project, and we need to ensure that all the operations that are targeted to the deliverables of the project, that are aligned to the deliverables of the project, whatever operations or execution that you do in the project that are targeted to deliver the project as per the commitment. And the third one is we need the visibility into the project data explaining the behavior of project performance in terms of cost, scope and schedule. And finally, the major challenge is to measure your performance against your plan that we already discussed in the earlier slide. And while measuring them, how to take the corrective measures against the observed deviations or identified deviations and the root causes of the deviations. So, we came up with a command center approach where it's like, as I discussed earlier, it's like identifying a problem or identifying a deviation that is occurring and explore further, and then learn about why it is happening, why such deviation is happening and where the deviation is happening and how much, what is the quantum of the deviation. So, what is the effect of the deviation is how much in terms of cost and in terms of schedule. What is the effect of that deviation, how much it is quantifying, and the reasons of the deviations. If you have to control the project, if you have to control the deviation, you need to know the reasons. When you identify, you may identify through your EVM measures, resource performance, cash flow indicators, cost trends and progress trends, and you may explore through tasks, resource assignments, costing, billing, commitments and change orders. And we already discussed about the questions, where, why and how much, and the reasons. Why is it based on cost, or is the deviation based on some resource utilization or some resource performance or something like unbilled, or sometimes you may charge it wrongly, and then there could be some fat finger errors too while you are uploading your data, or you are giving your data to the system. There could be some errors happening. If you want to correct the measures, we need to know what if analysis, like a simulation thing. Like, if you want to do some corrective measures, you may need to understand if this measure, if I am trying to correct in this way, where I will be reaching, how much I can reduce the impact on the project, what is the cost effectiveness, what is the time effectiveness. Like, you may do that simulation with the different dates or change in resource assignments. You may want to change some resources and then apply some different cost. When you do a resource with a cost, it could be affecting your margin to a certain extent. You may apply a different cost and see how it is affecting your margins, and then adjust change order values. After doing this simulation process, you may want to get into action. So, what is the best way to correct it? These actions could be through some schedule revisions, some budget revisions, or you may want to raise an issue or change request, or you may want to initiate a billing process, or you may want to hold or release some payments to your vendors and suppliers, and then you may want to create a purchase request to get some resource to the project. So, this is the holistic view from starting identifying the problems and taking the corrective actions against the problem. This is the whole view we are trying to give you in a single solution, which Seema will explain further. I'll ask Seema to explain you on the solution part.
Thanks, Lakshmana. So, I am going to, this is about project monitoring and control command center. So, I am going to give you a sneak peek into this project monitoring and control command center. So, first before that I would like to restate the point that this is a pre-released software. So, hence keeping in mind this safe harbor statement, I would like to now do a deep dive into this a quick demo around the monitoring aspect of the command center. So, let us do a deep dive in. So, this is a project monitoring and control command center prototype. So, you can see over here we have lot of metrics over here in terms of cost, cash flow, schedule, resource, change management. Various metrics are there in the overview section, and that gives you an idea of overall metrics, all the metrics of in all aspects of your project. And then we have various charts again related to those metrics, and again categorized by various categories over here. And we have various result sets, related result sets, wherein you can see the detailed information with respect to the project task, resource breakdown structure, cost breakdown structure. Then from cash position perspective, we have cash flow, customer invoices, supply invoices, purchase order, issues, change request and change order. And we also have lot of actions at each of the result set level at appropriate level. So, in this command center you can search for various attributes. You can do a value based navigation, and it pulls up it provides you the answers. It is if we compare the traditional traditional search results that we used to have a predefined predefined query criteria, and it used to give you the answers in a predefined format. But this is a paradigm shift from that approach, and we can see over here that you can search by various attributes, and this gives you the answers for your the search that you are trying to do, and it also those answers also prepare you for the next set of questions that you can impose and further drill down into that. Now, with that in mind, I would like to give you one quick demo on for one scenario on monitoring and control. Say I am a project manager and I come over here and I would want to review the overall health of my project. So, I would want to come over here. I can see I have various projects which are there in this performance index. I can see my two of my projects are doing fine, but couple of projects are falling in this particular fourth quadrant. So, with respect to SPI and CPI, I can see that so many of my projects are not doing well. So, what exactly is going wrong, and I would want to drill into details of why exactly certain projects are not performing well for me. So, I come over here, I can select one of the project. I selected one of the project. Now, this brought me to the next level, wherein I can see okay, it pulls up the top task of this particular project. I can see that my foundation task is fine. I can see the mobilization is also fine, and then the earthwork, the CPI is 1.042, but the SPI is lagging behind, is 0.9. So, why exactly the earthwork task is having issues with respect to CPI and SPI? So, I would want to find out the performance of my task, and hence I go here and I can see how my top tasks are performing. So, I would want to review the performance of all my top tasks with respect to the ITD planned versus actual. So, here I can see mobilization is doing good, even foundation is fine, but I can see earthwork. Earthwork has planned actual of 3,421 K, but the actual cost for earthwork task is 2,954 K. So, there is a deviation over here, and I would want to see that how exactly, what is the impact of this cost deviation on the revenue. So, I come over here in the revenue progress, and I would want to see what is the impact of the deviation on the revenue. Okay, so here also it pulls up the top task, and I can see that the earthwork, again the earthwork has the planned is 3,800 K, but whereas the actual is 2,463 K. So, a significant impact is there on the revenue as well, and I would want to now check out that which of for the earthwork task, what exactly are the lowest level tasks where exactly this deviation is happening. So, I come over here and I can see this, there is a cost deviation with respect to ITD planned and actual. I can see that the cost deviation is quite high for earthwork south side abutment. So, this is a lowest level task. So, I started from a project, I found out, if you can see how exactly I have reached this point is, I started from a project from where all my projects, I could see how all my projects are performing, and then from that I picked up one of the problematic project which was not performing with respect to CPI and SPI, and from that level I have moved to the next top task level and found out okay, so which are the top tasks which are not performing out of for this project, and then from top task I found out that okay, what is the impact of the deviation on the revenue, and at the same time I am also able to drill down and find out that with respect to the plan versus actual, where exactly the deviation is at the granular most level. So, I was able to find out that this earthworks outside abutment is having a huge cost deviation. So, what exactly is causing this cost deviation? So, in order to investigate that, I would first want to find out if there is any issue that is there for this particular task, earthwork south side abutment. Okay, so, I can see here that there is one issue that is logged over here, and there is some resolution also updated for that. So, looks like the task manager has already logged the issue for this project. So, I would want to first review that what exactly is the issue due to which the lowest level task earthworks outside abutment is not progressing well. So, here I can view the issue, I can see okay, and that what is the issue in task 2.1.2, that is the issue that is there, and the resolution is looks like some utilities are found and the utilities have to be shifted before starting the south side abutment task. So, there was a issue which was tracked by the task manager, and also he was able to find out the cause of the problem, that unknown utilities have to be shifted before starting the south side abutment task. So, in this way I am able to exactly drill down to the exact problem, and now I have to take relevant action in order to progress, in order to get a proper performance for the task. So, I can go ahead now. I would want to return to my command center, and I can convert this, since the resolution is already there for this particular issue. So, what I can do over here is I can convert this. I would like to convert this issue to a change order and get the change order implemented. So, this action I can go and convert to change order, and I can view my change order from the change order tab, and I can as you can see from here that there is a change order that is already there for this. Let me just check for the issue for this. Let me check the details of this change order. So, I can view the change order. I can view the change order that is created out of the issue. So, basically now what has to be done is a new task has to be created for the utility shifting, and at the same time there has to be additional resources have to be deployed in order to for this new task, and it will have a financial impact as well. And for that reason you can see a financial impact is updated over here, and now you can go ahead and implement the change order can be implemented. And once the change order is implemented, this can be further the issue will progress further. So, this is all about one particular scenario for monitoring and control.
And let's return to the presentation.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Go ahead and say that, and action.
Okay, so this is all about one particular scenario which demonstrates in how effectively you can do monitoring and control. You can find out where exactly the problem is, you can drill down to exact problem, you can take various actions and go ahead and resolve the issue. So, with this I would like to return back to the presentation.
Thank you, Seema, for giving us a sneak peek into the prototype of the solution. As Seema was mentioning, this is just a prototype. This is yet to be released in the future financial year. And now with that, we will come to the invoicing part of challenges. The major challenges we are addressing here is for any invoicing system in any organization, the most difficulty is to maintain the accuracy of the invoice, without any corrections or versions or submitted versus approved. The accuracy of the invoice is a major challenge. How do you make sure that your invoice to the customer or the invoice to your vendor is very accurate? And the second one is completeness. Whatever you are supposed to charge to your customer, are you charging fully? Are you charging 100%, or are there any gray areas that you are leaving behind you? So, how do you identify those gray areas? How do you make sure that your invoice is complete? How do you make sure that you are invoicing as per the terms and conditions with your customer or your vendors and suppliers? And the third major challenge is to maintain the timeliness, to upkeep with your billing cycle. So, how do you make sure that you will not get into the past due dates, and you will not give a chance to your customers saying that your invoice is not maintaining the timeliness. So, that is the reason he could not able to pay you in time. So, any of this one, if it is not there in your system, that is going to hit you badly on your cash flow. Any laggingness in your invoicing system will hit you badly on your cash flow, and that gives you a huge cash crunch. So, this is very key important feature of the product that Seema takes you further, how she is overcoming this challenge to make sure this accuracy of the billing, completeness of the billing and the timeliness of the billing through a solution which is under prototype. So, I will invite Seema to explain us, and again, as she was mentioning, this was a prototype solution which she is kind enough to give us a sneak peek into this. Okay. With this, I will hand it over to Seema to explain us about the solution.
So, let me take you through now another demo for which demonstrates the aspect of invoicing, effective billing and invoicing. So, this again I come over here to my command center, And now as a project manager, I just want to review the cash position for my project. So I have come over here and I want to review the cash position for my M12 project. Okay, so I can see now that the cash position is going negative for my project, and I can also see that what are the factors which are contributing to this negative cash position. I can see that the cash inflow is less, whereas the cash outflow is more. And at the same time, I can also see there is a huge amount which is lying in past due customer invoices. So that means I have customer invoices, but those have not gotten paid by the customer. Okay, I can also see past due vendor payments. So that means I have a liability for the vendor. The vendor payments are past due, and there is a huge amount lying in that liability bucket as well. I also am able to review over another key metric, which is around work in progress. So I can see that there is a amount which is there in work in progress. That means this is the unbilled, this is the billable yet but unbilled part of the transaction cost that is lying there in work in progress. So I need to find out these factors will help me in now progressing further and find out that why exactly my cash position has gone negative. The factor over here is less cash inflow, and the cash inflow is less because I have not gotten I have not gotten payment from my customer, and at the same time I have a big amount which is lying in work in progress, whereas at the same time my cash outflow has been high. So let me now, I would like to now go into detail of why exactly my past due, if the customer invoices are there, why exactly, what are those customer invoices and why have they not gotten paid by the customer. So for this I go ahead and I would like to search for the past due customer invoices. I can select this past due customer invoices. So here I am trying to investigate what are the customer invoices, what are the type of customer invoices, what are the details of those customer invoices which have not gotten paid by the customer. So my whole page command center has now gotten the related result sets have gotten filtered by that aspect. So I would like to go into customer invoices now. So these are the customer invoices which are pending for payment. Okay, so I can see there is a ITD outstanding amount. So there is a outstanding amount. I don't see any issue with these invoices not getting paid by the customer. There is a huge outstanding amount lying on the customer invoices. So what I would want to do now is that I would want to now go and check with the billing manager if there is any, what is the issue with that customer is not paying, because from the customer invoices details I can see that there is eligible amount which is lying to be paid by the customer. So I can go ahead and I can just a pause.
Ready to start?
Yeah.
Okay. And action.
Okay. So I can, as I was not able to, I can see that there was no issue at in the customer invoices from our end, and there was a valid outstanding amount due on the customer. I would want now my billing manager to go ahead and work with the customer to expedite on the pending payments. So I can create an issue. I can go ahead and create an issue for the billing manager. So we have these actions which are available here, and you can go ahead and create an issue from here, and once the issue is created I can go and check the issue, the details of the issue. So, here I can see that there is a pending invoice on client, there is a issue that is created. I would like to view the details of this issue. The issue is pending invoices on client, and this is created by the for the billing manager. So, he can go ahead and expedite on the work with the customer to expedite on the payment for the customer invoices. So, this takes care of one aspect of which impacts my cash position for this project. Now, there is another aspect that we have seen with respect to a huge amount which is lying in work in progress. So, I need to now go into details and find out why exactly I am having this much amount lying in work in progress. If there is a billable amount, why exactly it is not getting billed? So, let me go into details and find out why exactly this the amount is not getting billed. So, here this gives me, as you can see, we have a cash flow which gives a S curve for the overall cash with respect to the cash position for the overall project over different periods, and I am also able to see billed versus unbilled. I can see that overall there is 8.591% of cost that is not billed by the that is still lying as unbilled. So, I would want to get into details why this cost is not getting billed if it is billable. So, this takes me now, I would want to now find out that what is that cost that is contributed to 8.591, and for that let me just find out which tasks are contributing to that cost. Okay. So, I can see more than one task are involved over here which have the billable but unbilled cost. So, I would want to find out the details of the expenditure which are billable and not yet billed. Hence, let me go into details of expenditures, and also I would want to find out which task is having the most cost as unbilled. So, I can come over here and I'll click on expenditures, because I want to get into details of the expenditures which are billable yet unbilled. So, this gives me for this project what all the overall expenditure overview. Now, one of the key reason that can happen for expenditures which are billable and yet unbilled could be that they might be on billing hold. So, let me first quickly check, are these expenditures on bill hold, and that is the reason they are not getting billed. So, I would like to refine further and see by billing hold. Okay, so this brings up, as we have seen that multiple tasks were involved which were contributing to the unbilled cost, and here once I refined the whole search by putting a bill hold, I can see that this EW Tower 2 looks like this is having the maximum cost as unbillable, as billable yet unbilled. Hence, now I can drill down further into expenditures, which we have a expenditure item search results over here. I can further drill down into expenditures and find out the details of why exactly these expenditures are having bill hold. But as I have already come to know that this is the task which is contributing to the maximum cost and bill hold, let me just go and find out what is the issue with this task due to which the billing is on hold for the expenditures which are incurred against this task. So, I would want to refine further, and by this task that I have identified, so I have refined by this task, I am refining the command center further by this particular task, and I would want to know what exactly is the issue with this task. So, I can see that there is a issue with this, there is a issue that is logged against this task. Let me go and view the details of this issue which is logged against this task, and that is holding up the billing for these expenditures which are incurred against this. Okay, so, I can see that client is not happy with the quality of EW Tower 2, and hence the expenditures are put on hold until the issue is resolved. So, this is I got the reason why exactly the EIs are put on hold and billing is not happening, but at the same time as I am reviewing the issue, I can find that there is a resolution also updated that it is completed, and as of 14 September client review is completed and client is happy with the progress. So, as the issue has got resolved, the next step that I would want to do is I would like to release the hold of all these expenditures. So, I can convert this issue to a change order, or I can directly go to the expenditures and I can release the bill hold, or I can let my billing manager know to review and go ahead and release the bill hold on this, which is also possible. As you have navigated from projects to expenditures, I can very well go and release the bill hold from the expenditures. So, this will take care of releasing the amount that is held up in work in progress for one of the top tasks that I have identified. I can do the same action, review the other tasks also that were contributing to the work in progress, and that way the amount that is held in work in progress can move further for billing. Now, this will take care once my customer invoices will get paid and the work in progress that also gets cleared and the invoices get lined up for billing. The cash inflow is going to increase for my project, but at the same time, as I know that there will be certain lead time for getting the payment from the customer, and I already know that there is an amount that is held up in vendor payment, and so I would like to work with the task manager to work with the vendors to ensure that to give a heads up to the vendors which are involved over here, that the vendor payment there might be a delay in getting the vendor in clearing the payments. So, this way I would like to set the expectations for my vendors. So, this is all about one particular scenario wherein we have demonstrated that how the cash position, how you are able to review, get a very holistic view of the cash position for your project. You have identified the issues, what are the key metrics around it, that gave you an idea about the problem, and then we delved down further into details of the issue problem and are able to find out the resolution for the deviation, and hence it are able to take care of the deviation in the project.
Thanks, Seema. Thanks for giving us a sneak peek of the solution part to address the billing timeliness, the completeness and the accuracy. With this, we close upon the solution and we go to the roadmap. The roadmap, the first solution we are focusing on the project monitoring and control command center. This is a very powerful approach for any project management team wherein they want to keep the monitoring and control in place with the most effective way. It is a command and control center approach, like where you have a view of all your project health based measurements, in all dimensions, 360 degrees view of your project across the organization or across the project or across any task that you can view here. And as we discussed earlier, you can explore the options of it, and then you can take actions against any corrective measures that you may want to take it. The most important factor that we have to emphasize here is the integration between all the modules. The bottom bar explains you on all the modules. Most of our customers will know about that, and then each line that integrates what are the transactional points that you are trying to integrate from each one and each other. So, how do you take the information from all the corners of your organization or the project management and give it in a single view, where you give the project management team a cockpit type of a panel where they can operate, monitor and control the whole project from a single perspectiveness. This information should be also will be available for all the stakeholders as per their role and responsibility. Like a procurement guy will have his own piece of this PMC piece, and the project manager will have a different measures and metrics that he will be able to access. So, based on the roles and responsibility here, we have sliced out this solution to be more effective and to control the project and cut off your cost overruns and schedule overruns. And then we have a roadmap on the mobile projects, mobile applications. So, the next version, the next releases is going to happen with issue management and the progress reporting tools and the documents that are related to the project. How do you view them and access them, and you may want to forward them to someone, or you may want to email them, whatever you may want to do, or give access to view and edit to some of your team members the project related documents you may want to circulate. So, that is one app is on the roadmap, and the other app is on project performance, which explains you which enhances the current project manager application with more performance measures. And then the status reports, which are based on your financial status or progress status or your resource status, whatever status you may want to check on your project. That is one app is on the way, and any hierarchical approvals you may want to do, you may that we explained earlier, like action based project applications are on the way. So, with this I conclude this session, and thank you.